Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old ways, but accept some of the new. We love to cook and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. Outside the South, the words tea cake mean any cake served with tea. But to Southerners, tea cakes are more than that. They are the nostalgic cookies, crispy and golden around the edges and soft and cake-like inside. They are perfect for tea or for just eating for just about anything else you can think of. Originating as the classic Quaker jumble more than 250 years ago, the tea cake morphed into its pillowy, wonderful self once baking soda and baking powder come along. Early tea cakes went by the name like Jackson Jumbles and Democratic tea cakes. Powerful monikers for a cookie. And depending on where you grew up and what was in your larder, in your pantry, the tea cake might have been slightly salty from lard. It could have been rich from butter or fluffy from vegetable shortening. It may have been stamped into rounds or dropped with flour hands like a biscuit onto a pan. It might have been scented with lemon, sometimes nutmeg, but always vanilla. And that recipe was yours. That recipe was as distinct as your DNA. It spoke about your family history, and like your Social Security number, you never did share it. Were served in Edenton, North Carolina. I may be saying that wrong. In 1774 by a group of women protesting the British tax on imported tea. They baked these little cakes, but they didn't sip British tea that day. Today, old-fashioned tea cakes are still made for family reunions and holidays. And we also bake the little cakes like the 1830 Marguerites, tiny sugar cookies dabbed with jam and cloaked in brown meringue. Or we baked ladyfingers, or cookies called teas. Just take a glance at the 19th and 20th century cookbooks and you'll see that tea cakes have been in the room throughout American history. They were served before the war, when presidential campaigns began, during Prohibition and the women's suffrage movement, for religious gatherings, at barn raisings and baptisms, or to console after funerals. But tea cakes themselves are more backstage than up front. They are soft little cakes with a rich history that tie us to the generations of people who baked them before us. If we go back to 1872, when Annabella P. Hill wrote her book, Miss Hill's Southern Practical Cookery and Receipt Book, tea cakes were leavened with a little baking soda, rolled thinly, and baked in a hot oven. You could say they were offshoots of British tea biscuits or cookies, except they had been Americanized with the addition of the new leavening. We're going to start mixing our dough up, and I'm just going to do this by hand. I'm not going to do it with the mixer today. Trying to find the spoon that I liked when I'm mixing my cookies up by hand, but I don't see it in here. This will work. This one is really, really old. I can't tell you how old this wooden spoon is, but it is a Pampered Chef, and I've not bought Pampered Chef in years and years and years. We're going to start by mixing up our, first off, preheat your oven to 325 degrees. The recipe always calls for 325. You may have to adjust your oven. It just depends on your ovens, of course, as always. And we're going to mix our sugars, our butter, oil, eggs, and vanilla. So I've got 1 cup of just granulated white sugar. Then I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. And what the powdered sugar does is it just, for somehow or another, it gives that cookie a little bit of crispness. A little bit, you know, it makes it kind of crispy around the edges. Now, a lot of recipes don't call for powdered sugar. So you can use 2 cups of just regular granulated sugar. I'm going to kind of, I was going to sift my powdered sugar up and I didn't do it. So I'm trying to get some of the little, there we go. So we got both our sugars. We need our butter. So I've got 2 sticks of melted butter. I know a lot of people ask me if they can use margarine instead of butter. I'm not going to tell you not to use margarine, because in these day and times, butter is very expensive. If margarine is what you can afford, by all means use margarine. In my young married mama life, when I had to really watch my grocery, I had a grocery budget every 2 weeks. And when I went to town, because we lived out on the farm, I had to feed, 4 kids, and me and Deanie, and usually some other kids. And so I had to really watch what and I bought margarine. We didn't have a milk cow at that time, so there just wasn't no fresh milk, which means fresh butter. So Grandma always used the big old tub of margarine. And that's just the truth on that one. Now, you ain't going to find anybody that makes anything from scratch any more than my grandma did. But when it come to butter, she just didn't put out the money to buy butter. She used margarine. But everything on her table was homemade. Okay, we got our butter in there. We need oil. Now, whatever oil you use for baking, this is peanut oil. That's pretty much except for lard, butter, and olive oil. I've got, let's see, what other kind? I got coconut oil, stuff like that. But I'm putting peanut oil in here. So you use whatever oil that you use to bake with. That much oil reminds me of my mother-in-law's famous dish pan cookies. It has a lot of oil in it, but it makes a lot of cookies too, just like this one will. And I need 2 eggs. Yes, eggs are very high right now. But if you've got chickens, that's helping out a whole lot. This time of year, most chickens on most farms aren't laying like they do in the spring, summer, and fall. We have to have all the seasons. We have to have day and night. This time of year, of course, it's nighttime by 5 o'clock here, so the chickens are so confused. Okay, so we've got our sugars, our butter, oil, eggs. Now we're going to put in, and this is imitation vanilla. If you got a good vanilla, please use that. I'm out of my good vanilla. I've got some ordered. So I'm using this, which makes it taste good too. Okay, in this little bowl right here, I've got 4½ cups of flour. We're going to put 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. somebody was commenting on my little spoons that I keep in my jars here. It's just a tiny little spoon. I find these at flea markets, and I just think they're so cute to put in my little mason jars for little half teaspoons and teaspoons for measuring, because they fit down in there. Okay. You need 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Now, there's no salt. I am using salted butter. I use salted butter in everything, pretty much. Most of my baking, all of it. So I'm stirring all my dry ingredients up. So that's all of our ingredients. Pretty simple. No fuss, no muss. But oh so good. I'm going to put my big bowl here. I'm going to put my dry ingredients in here with my wet ingredients. Now, at this point, you can add you a little bit of nutmeg. You can add you a little bit of lemon essence, or a little bit of lemon zest, nutmeg, anything like that y'all like. I'll take my glasses off. I don't have to read anything right now, so I can take my glasses off. It has been a windy, cold day here. Today or this afternoon, I come in from work and y'all are with me here, sitting with me after my day at work, and we're making tea cakes. Mr. Brown's still at work because he has to drive a school bus after he gets off his regular job, which he is transportation director and bus mechanic at the school, but he also drives the school bus. And he don't get home till later. Now y'all can see I'm not really having a hard time mixing this up at all. It's coming together pretty good. Now I've got a pretty good size cookie sheet, but I'm going to be cooking this in my little countertop oven because I'm fixing to be cooking some supper in this oven. So, and my little countertop oven is an Emerald Lagasse. I'm not sponsored by him or nothing. I'm just letting y'all know what kind I got. That is, I think I even have it down in my Amazon store. Okay, this is mixed up really good. And it just does a wonderful job baking anything. I cook, a lot of times me and Mr. Brown will get up and I'll cook a bunch of bacon in there. It cooks it in about 12 minutes. And I proof my bread in there. It has a proof button to proof your bread. It has an air fryer in there. It has everything. And just really comes in handy. Okay, I'm going to get my cookie sheet out and get ready to get these in the oven. So y'all seen how the simple ingredients, how simple it was to stir up by hand. So easy peasy. Let's get them in the oven so we can get some out of the oven and taste them while they're still warm. So I'm just going to be using, like I said, my little countertop oven. So I've just got this little pan here. Now, if you're making them in your big oven, like I usually would, just use whatever size cookie sheet you want. You want to make sure you space these out at least 2 inches apart because they are going to kind of spread. You can use a cookie scoop or do it the old-fashioned way when they would just pinch their dough like you're making a biscuit, and that's all there is to it. About that simple. So I'm going to get this in my 325-degree oven and see how long it's going to take for them to bake in there. Then I'll know for sure what to tell y'all of how long it took for them to bake. If you want to, you can sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top of this too. Okay, I made some old-fashioned tea cake cookies, and I want you to taste one before you go back outside to work. He just said he ain't been home very long. He ate supper.
I'm filthy.
I told him.
I've been wallering in brake drum dust.
But he loves anything that's, you know, the old-fashioned. I don't care what it is. They're called tea cakes, and they're like soft in the middle, but crunchy on the outside.
That's for sure. It really remind me of them old recipes. It's got that flavor.
Yeah, that texture and that flavor is really good. Anyways, people have been wanting the recipe.
Yeah, me with coffee.
Oh, yeah.
You talking about good.
You can take some to work with you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to go back to work tomorrow.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, thank y'all for coming by, stopping by and sitting with me for a while, jawing with me, and cooking some good old tea cakes with me. These are wonderful. I can't explain to you. You know, I love old-fashioned recipes, and so does Mr. Brown. The texture, the crispiness, the flavor, I mean, you just can't beat these little cake-like cookies. So if y'all have never made tea cakes before, please try this recipe. It may be a little bit different than what y'all used to. Maybe y'all have your own recipe. So many people have their own family recipe of tea cakes. So if you like one that's really fluffy in the middle and crispy on the outside, and you can add you a little bit of lemon zest, a little bit of nutmeg, whatever you want to, make it your own. But I'm just here to tell you these are Larapin. These are plum Larapin. It's been a long time since I've had any tea cakes. And I want to thank y'all, the ones that have mentioned to me of wanting me to make my tea cake recipe. The one that I've used many years, especially when the kids were home. So this will be in my new cookbook that I'm going to be writing and putting out. Now, it's going to be a long time before my cookbook is ready to publish and to sell. So it'll probably be on closer to the end of the year. Y'all, it takes a long time to write a cookbook. And my old cookbook, it sold out 5 times. And I want to thank y'all so much, everybody that supported me in my cookbook. I don't know that I'm going to be ordering any more of my older cookbooks. If I do, I'll let y'all know. But right now, I'm concentrating on working on the new cookbook. So that's where we're at with the cookbooks. But, and this recipe right here will be in there with so many other recipes. But if you're new to my channel, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Those of y'all that have been with me for so long, thank you very much for your love and support. Me and Mr. Brown love you all so much. And anybody coming into our family and supporting us and just being a part of our life and our journey, thank you so much. We appreciate every one of y'all. We appreciate all the gifts, all the cards and letters and recipes and books and everything that y'all been sending us. Thank you very much. It means a lot to us. Y'all just don't know how every time I go to that mailbox and there's such a beautiful letter or card or home, you know, your own recipes or an old book, because y'all know that I love to collect old recipe books and handmade gifts and just all the little whatnots and pictures and everything. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate it. So, I hope y'all appreciate this recipe. Give it a thumbs up. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're not getting my notifications, please go back to my channel homepage and click on that bell again. Because sometimes that's happening a lot. I've got people tell me they're not getting my notifications. So just go back, re-click on that notification bell and see if that helps. Anyways, we're going to see y'all in a couple days. I've got more recipes, a lot I'm wanting to do. Mr. Brown's wanting to do a lot too. Uh, we got some snow maybe coming next week, so we'll see how that turns out. We're getting ready to order some seeds and maybe even start doing some stuff in the garden just to get things going and cleaned up before gardening season gets here. So God bless everybody. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all in a couple of days.